Hi, everyone. This is Lucille and Lori with The Squeeze, and we want to welcome you for joining us today. We're so excited about our guest, Peg Doyle, who is joining us to talk about how to boost your immune system, what we can do as individuals to boost our immune system. And with everything that's going on right now with the concerns about the coronavirus, I think to have something that we can do makes us feel better. And I do think we do have some control. So I want to introduce Peg. She is a certified holistic health coach and educator who has been studying health and nutrition for the last 20 years, over 20 years. She's a popular keynote speaker and nutrition and lifestyle consultant. She's spoken and led workshops at Harvard School of Dental Medicine, Boston College, and other conferences and organizations. She also has meditation tapes that are quite wonderful, and they are stress management meditations and affirmations and Beyond Cancer. Peg is the author of the book Food Becomes You. And it is a simple steps for lifelong wellness. So welcome, Peg.
Thank you. It's so great to be here with you both.
Yeah, we're delighted. We are delighted. So we will just jump in, Lori. You're gonna.
So, we were talking and I found out, because I don't know you, Peg, and you have a compelling story of how you got into all of this. We would love to hear your story of, what spurred you to start Wellness in You.
Sure. Well, it was a long time ago that I thought that what I was really interested in was medicine. I always went straight to the articles about medicine in Newsweek or Time magazine. Just really was drawn to that. And then I had the opportunity to be exposed to some other approaches to medicine, mainly the integrative and holistic approaches to medicine, and realized it really wasn't medicine that I was interested in. It was the process of healing and how the body heals. And so I started on a journey probably 25 years ago now, studying Asian body work and nutrition and breath work and stress management, and realized that this is really the place where we do our healing. It's we can have a quick fix with medicine or surgery, and sometimes they're absolutely necessary. But if we just take a minute and get to know our bodies and our minds and our spirits and figure out what makes us tick and what throws us off balance, very often we can find solutions within nutrition, breath work, body work, exercise, connection, things like that. So that's how it all got started.
Interesting.
Right. So we really want to get to, Peg, we're really grateful that you ended up being in this field. You've helped a lot of people. And I just recently read a blog of yours about how we can boost our immune system. So let's get right into that, because I know a lot of people are worried right now.
What can we do? What can we do?
What can we do? The news is overwhelming. So what is it that we can do to help support our immune system as we're going through this crisis?
Sure. It's sort of like we all feel like we're on the edge of a cliff, don't we?
Yeah.
We hear these stories that are full of worry and concern, and mostly because there are so many unknowns about it. So when we're feeling helpless, it really can change the story if we step back and think, okay, how am I living my life? What am I doing that's either helping protect my health or putting me in jeopardy? So there are some very simple things that we all can do. We've, of course, heard about washing our hands and singing happy birthday twice and using soap and warm water. Absolutely important. And my thought about that is we should be doing that all the time, not just when we have the threat of coronavirus. Also, I think that we can look at boosting our immune system from a more holistic perspective. What are you eating? What foods are you consuming? I have a post on my blog about an immune building soup. I would encourage everybody to take a look at that and start making it.
I want it.
I have it, and I am going to make it.
All right.
Okay. And I give credit to Ming Tsai. He is the person who developed the recipe. And when I heard him speak about it, he said his family eats this all winter long to prevent colds. And we know that the coronavirus is a viral infection. So it's worth giving it a try. Other foods that might be medicinal in nature are cinnamon and turmeric and ginger, all good to incorporate into your foods. They make great additions to soups. I use cinnamon instead of sugar in my coffee. So there are different ways that you can get those foods into your diet. Another thing is sleep. So many people are sleep deprived, and if there's one thing that's going to make you more susceptible, it's lack of sleep. So perhaps with all of us turning down our commitments over the next few weeks because we're more isolated, we can get a little more sleep. If not sleep, at least rest. Another thing is stress. How stressed are you, and what can you do about that? I know for myself, the times I'm most susceptible to catching a cold or a virus is when I'm stressed. So really think about what you're doing to relax, to laugh, to rest, to eat well, and incorporate all of those things into your life, especially right now.
And I think a big one, you talk about laughing. And I mean, I think that's huge. I think that, I don't know, what do you think? But when if you watch the news constantly, it's so overwhelming. I think we need to, step away from it. You need to have the information, but step away and do things that you love to do. Get outside. What's that, Lori?
So you said laughter. Made me think of something I shared. Let's see if I can.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, we all need those cones, right? That they
oh my gosh, my dog would love to see me walk around with one of those cones on.
So we don't touch our face.
Yes.
So hot. I think that's a big part of it.
It is.
Huge. Since I've heard that, I cannot believe how many times I touch my face when I talk. I touch my face when I'm driving. My face itches like crazy.
You when you were talking about the news, Lucille, I think that it's helpful to really look at who's presenting the news, because news outlets are, they're really focused on creating drama. And many of them are fear-based. And so whether we're talking about the weather or this disease or finances, listen to what they're saying. And if they're too high drama for you, find a different news outlet, because there are some that are just very factual and will present in a way that don't get you all wound up. And then turn it off and have some.
Right. It's not just about eating. Like you said, it's about sleeping, eating right, and knowing when you're overwhelmed with news. Like, it's time to get out in nature. It's time to go run your feet in the grass or, something.
For sure. That's the best place to go.
I'm curious, Peg, what news sources do you listen to that you feel are not as incendiary,
or polarized,
Yeah.
I just want the facts.
I find, for the most part, NPR is the most calming. They're very brief. They don't. I notice that especially when there's a snowstorm predicted, they will say very matter-of-factly, the outlook is 2 to 4 inches of snow, and that's the end of the story, where some of the other news outlets go into how much salt their local DPW has, and so much minutia that really is wearing and not very useful. So I like something short and sweet, and I generally find NPR to be that way.
Yeah, just the facts, please. Yeah.
Instead of talking about the shortage of toilet paper, I'm out buying bone broth. I can never figure out, bone broth, stocking up on vitamins. So instead of being able to get toilet paper at Costco, I was able to get vitamin C.
There you go.
So I'll have to trade vitamin C for toilet paper. Yeah, anybody around in my area, I still need toilet paper.
There's a big run on toilet paper.
I know, what the heck, right?
I never knew it was so important until this week.
Right, I read an article about it saying that it's not the toilet paper. It's the fear. It's the contagious fear discussion. That's it could be toilet paper, it could be something else. And this person who wrote this article, I wish I could remember, said, I predict it will be something new in the next couple weeks, and it's going to be totally, it'll be weird. It's just like toilet paper. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it gives people a way to feel like they are in control, but they're just buying into the hysteria.
And I love that that's why we're having you on,
Right.
Boost your immune system, walk away from the news. These are all great tips in order to help you deal with this issue better. Yeah.
So tell us some stories, Peg, about clients that you've had that you've seen like a remarkable turnaround in their health because, when they follow your advice, they change their lifestyle, they change their diet. Would love to hear a couple of really positive stories. And I know you have tons of them.
Well, I always say the people who I have worked with through the years are my best teachers, because I see them come in motivated to make change, and they come back and tell me things that I might not have even thought about that might be different for them. So with nutrition, there's a sense that nutrition is really about weight management, and that's only one part of it, but it's usually the part that brings people into me. They're 50-ish, they want to lose weight, they're concerned about their future health and appearance. And my perspective is what I'd like to do is change their relationship with food from one of it being good food, bad food, to a source of nourishment and energy for them. So one person I'm thinking about in particular is a woman who had uterine cancer. And she came to me because she was very concerned about her health, realized she was not a good eater. She was quite overweight. And what happened with her was she had a very demanding job. She was counseling people who had been assaulted. So very intense work. And so what she found was, because of the structure of her work, she was eating her lunch at her desk and just gobbling down whatever it was from a takeout place. And so what happened to her was, once we started working together, I gave her a list of recommended foods for the pantry and refrigerator. That was one of the starting things, simple recipes. And she started bringing food to work with her. And I asked her if she would please sit somewhere other than her desk, get out of her office, change the environment.
Right.
And she did. And what she discovered was that by eating this different food that was more nourishing, and by having a more pleasant surrounding, the acid reflux that she thought was just a part of being 50-something disappeared.
Wow.
And so that was really a huge motivator for this woman to continue changing her food for the better and changing her stress level by creating a space where she could eat mindfully and peacefully. So that's one. Another one is my husband.
Whom we had on the last two shows, and you have seen how healthy he is. This is very interesting to me.
Right. And for anyone who doesn't know me, I am not a blushing young bride. We just got married last year, and I did not coach him about food. He just was happy to eat the food that we had. And since last summer, he has lost 25 pounds and feels so much better. But what the real turning point for him was a cleanse that I do every autumn, right after the holidays, and again in the spring. We did the fall cleanse together, and he kept saying, I can't believe I'm not hungry. This, I was really afraid that this would be really unpleasant. He felt great, and was shocked to find at the end of a week he lost 10 pounds just from that period. I think it's not really fair with men because they do much faster than women do. But he said to me, I consider myself a very intelligent person.
Right.
I never understood the impact that food has because I never really learned about it. I just ate.
Yeah, and that, I mean, we obviously, if anyone has listened to the last two shows, we had Mike, Peg's husband, on talking about explaining our healthcare system in the United States, with two shows everyone should definitely see because he explains it in such a straightforward way. It is amazing. There is no doubt that man is very smart.
Right. That's what I find interesting is we know what we know. I mean, a lot of us are highly educated, yet maybe food just wasn't on our radar. I mean, it's just there. We just eat it's non-mindful eating, right? I had the same issue. I wanted to be a nutrition major when I first started out in college. I ended up just going straight biology But I've been married to my husband for 18 years this year. And he constantly says, I never ate as many salads as I eat with you. You know, you got me without me saying like, eat that. I don't say eat a salad. He just sees me eating a salad and he's like, that sounds good. That looks good.
Mhm.
And what I hear a lot is, I can't believe you spend so much time making a salad. Well, for me, it's gotten to be a habit. Like if I don't have a salad, I feel like, gosh, that I just don't feel right. So I've developed a habit of making a salad, and then I've made it fun. You know, I make them colorful, and I enjoy it, and I never feel sleepy after I eat. That's a big point for me. But I just think it's interesting how you can affect someone just by living with them.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
And what you said about the salad, it is a lot about attitude, I think. And when you start to realize that you feel better when you eat foods like that, well, then it isn't work anymore. You want to do it.
Right.
You want to feel better.
Sure.
You want to keep that feeling of wellness, or definitely.
Speaking of the healthcare system, what about, I mean, you might have a point, but our next question I would think is to go from, you know, Mike talked about the different healthcare that everybody was proposing for the candidates. I mean, what do you think as a wellness coach who believes in all this whole foods and nutrition, where our mainstream medicine community doesn't really always buy into all that? What are your feelings about a balance in our future healthcare system?
Well, I thought that the Affordable Care Act was a step in the right direction. And I call it that instead of Obamacare because I think it's a mistake to politicize any very important and critical piece in our democracy. We call Social Security by that name. We call Medicare by that name. We don't call it by the president who enacted.
Interesting.
The bill.
Right. I thought about
And somehow Obamacare stuck, and I'd like to see it go back to Affordable Care Act so that Congress can be more collaborative about making it better, because I think it's a good place to start. But one of the things that's always bothered me about it as a wellness person is their definition of prevention. Prevention in the Affordable Care Act is synonymous with screenings, so allowing mammograms and PSA testing and all sorts of things, colonoscopy. Those are devices that are designed to identify and detect disease. Prevention, in my mind, is preventing the onset of any kind of disease. So you have to back up and look at the things we've already talked about: your nutrition, your rest, your stress management, your movement. Those are all what I identify as preventive measures. And I'd like to see more of that in a future healthcare program, more education about it. People really don't know across the whole spectrum of education. People do not know because we have such an overactive diet system in our country, diet industry, that overshadows true nutrition. We have super sports situations where people can think if they're not athletic, there's no place for them in the world of movement or exercise. And it's not true. So we have to find ways to.
And that really starts at a young age, because I can say that I have a daughter in high school who tried out for a sport, didn't make that sport. And, the way that the school presented sports for us incoming freshman families, it was like, you've got to be on a sport, yet less than 1% of the people can be on a sport. There isn't enough slots. So then you have all these people who wouldn't mind playing for fun, but there's no discussion of playing for fun. It's playing for business or not playing at all. And I agree with you. My daughter's like, well, I can't even find someone who's interested in just playing volleyball for fun. They don't talk about it. That is awful from my point of view. I mean, I played softball for fun. I've played volleyball for fun. I mean, getting out and moving is so much more a part of being well than just food.
And that stress release that we need.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Release, right?
Yeah.
It's a great book I'd like to recommend in the area of sports. It's called Body, Mind, and Sport. It's written by John Goulart, who's a chiropractor and an Ayurvedic doctor.
Oh.
And he was a trainer for the New Jersey Jets. So he's also a triathlete. And the book describes how, regardless of your body type, how to move your body in a way that's enjoyable, because we stop doing things that aren't fun, right? We have to have something that works for us. And he points out, as you just mentioned, Lori, how kids can be eliminated very early on. He talks about the chubbier child who goes into a second grade gym class and is told to climb a ladder rope and is timed for how quickly he can do it, against a child who's very thin and wiry and can just zip right up, and how to redirect a child who's on the heavier side to something that requires more endurance than speed, so that they have an experience that's pleasurable and they can be successful at. So that's where it needs to start. And I love his book because
nice
that message.
I mean, we need to instill more joy in our lives, right? We're so based on goal setting, and we've got to get here. There's like the tunnel vision, and we've got to make our goals. What about joy?
Yeah. What is his last name again? John?
Douyllard. Goulart.
Okay, great. But yeah, I just want to make sure I got that. So, and everyone who's watching gets it, so they can read that book, because I really identify with that. I was never really that sports orientated as a child. And I was never great at all those, the tests we had in gym, pull-ups and all that kind of stuff. And it just makes you feel bad about yourself. So I was telling my kids recently, we went snowshoeing, and I said, I just don't feel like I have this belief in my head that I'm not like athletic. Or that but the things I love to do is I love to walk, and I in the nature. I love to dance. And dance is a lot of great exercise.
Sure is.
Joyful. My husband and I were ballroom dancing for a long time, but I will turn on the radio and I will just dance around the house for a half an hour. Because it's great. It's good exercise. And so I really think I love that, Peg, and I'm going to definitely get that book. I think that's super, super important. I think that in the United States, our lifestyle is so contrary to really good health. We work hard. Our stress levels are off the chart. We're grabbing food on the go, and none of this is helping us.
Yeah. So one of our followers is they would like to see the cleanse you spoke about. So we'll make sure we put a link to what she's speaking about on the cleanse in the comments.
And they can also go to, I think, Peg's website, and there's the website right there.
Yeah, it's there
right?
under the programs.
It's in programs. Okay, very good. She's got a lot of information there. She's shared a lot of the blogs that she's written. You might want to browse through her blogs. With me.
Yeah, I mean, you do, Peg. You have a tremendous amount of information. And your book, tell us about the book. Tell us about how this book, Food Becomes You, Simple Steps for Lifelong Wellness, and you kind of target baby boomers in this book. But I think anybody can benefit by it. But tell us how this book can be used as a tool to wellness.
Sure. Well, the book is really the result of several people telling me I should write a book because I was writing blog posts and articles for local papers and a couple of national ones. And I kept saying, yes, at some point I will. But I was doing graduate work in gerontology, and one of my books I had to read was it was a book on disease and aging, and everything in the book was about what falls apart as you grow older. There was no information about how to keep the parts together. And so I finally decided to write the book because I felt like people needed information. So the book is broken into a number of parts. There's all the information you would need about, I mentioned earlier about planning a simple whole foods way of eating with stocking your refrigerator and pantry, because if that doesn't happen, healthy eating will never happen. You have to have the food in your house. I also have some stories about people I worked with and some ways of moving from not being so healthy to getting healthier. There's more and more information about that today, and some of it is really mind-blowing. People who have significant blockages in their arteries and go on a wellness program of nutrition and exercise and clear the blockages. So I think people from the book will take away a sense of hope that no matter where they are, they can get better if they make these simple changes. So I include menus and recipes, shopping lists, all of that to make it a practical book that you can just take and make those changes at your own pace.
Well, I'd love to know your feedback on, I mean, I know better, I've studied this stuff, and yet I feel like we talked a little bit about sugar. I think we'll get into that a little bit, but I know better, but I don't do better. And there seems to be this, I just get down on myself when I know better and I don't do better. Do you have tips on how to boost your positive self-talk?
Well, I think we get stuck when we are in blaming ourselves. We give up very easily. So one of the recommendations I make in the book is to adopt a 90-10 balance in your food. And by that, I mean, aim for eating well 90% of the time and relax on the other 10. So that 10% may be a little bit every day that you have a little indulgence, or it may be that you go completely off the rails every now and then. And then you get back to good practices, and you don't get stuck on what isn't working. You start looking at what is, and you build on that. I ask my clients whenever they come in for an appointment, what's new and good in your life? And they're surprised by that because they're used to hearing in a diet program, all right, what did you do? That's wrong. And it's not helpful. That's why the diet industry is so successful. It keeps people coming back for years. And so what I think works a little bit better and is worth a try is to focus on the things that you're successful in and give yourself a little wiggle room so that you don't have to be perfect, because none of us is perfect.
Yeah, right. Well, that's interesting because, that's just like the law of attraction. The more that you speak positively, more positive comes towards you. I see that. Interesting. I never thought about it in terms of food.
And I love it because it gives you, that little bit of breathing space to, if you make a mistake or whatever, you go, you just, get back on. And, I love that 90-10 rule. It just makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. And keeping a very positive attitude makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that in the book too, Peg. You do have a 12-week plan for optimal health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a plan that you can mix up. You can do whichever step you want in whatever week. So for instance, 1 week I say really ramp up on the veggies. Have at least a couple of veggies with every meal, even breakfast, and explore veggies that you haven't had before. You might discover one that you just love that you never have had before. So just play with that. Another week could be devoted to reading about nutrition, reading about lifestyle, just soaking it all in. Another one might be a focus on grains another week. So it's a mix and match of things that will lead you toward better health after the 12 weeks.
So that's actionable plan that you can follow.
Right? Isn't habit part of the reason why we need to get in the habit? Like you said, you've got to have the right foods in your fridge. Sometimes you've got to have those vegetables chopped up. So it's easy to just open the fridge and, I'll have hummus and some carrots, rather than, that potato chip bag is just calling my name. Right? Yeah. But I think it takes relearning.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And sometimes that calling my name is fun to look at. Like, why is that happening? I remember one time I went in the grocery store to buy a piece of fish, and I was walking by the meat counter, and I just was so attracted to these big hamburgers in the meat counter. And I thought, I have no idea why I want that, but I think I have to have it. And I brought it home and I cooked it. I have beef maybe twice a year. It's not a big thing for me. And so I thought about it, and I realized it was late in November. I hadn't worn a warm enough jacket when I went out that day. I was cold. So my body was looking for some fat. So it was a perfectly logical reason I was looking for it. Sometimes if you're looking for sweet, you might look and say, wow, I haven't had any sweet vegetables for days. No wonder I'm looking for refined sugar. I need some sweet vegetables like squash or beets or carrots, or I need some fruit that also is a source of food.
So, vegetables, that is so interesting. So my daughter she has a Spanish class, and they have to make a Spanish dish as part of their program, and she has to write it up and everything. So she made dinner last night, and she made this, I don't remember what it's called, but it was a meat dish on the bottom, and then they took corn and you cooked it on the stove, and then you blended it and you kind of laid it on top like a casserole. And we bit into that, and I was in shock at how sweet it was. It freaked me out because I don't like eating anything sweet for dinner. Like when I'm hungry, I don't want to eat sweet. I want to eat savory. But that is a good point. Like, oh, maybe I'll just have like a tamale when I want something sweet for dinner. And then maybe I won't want that big bowl of ice cream after. I don't know. It's worth a try. I'm an experiment.
Good.
So you're really kind of suggesting that we kind of look and listen to our bodies, and and instead of going for the easy thing, maybe think about a healthier choice that would satisfy that urge.
For sure. And there usually is one out there. And to your point, Lucille, about, which you would choose, I think the idea of pleasure is something worth talking about, like that warm chocolate brownie, let's say, will give you a lot of pleasure. But there are two ways to experience pleasure. One is in the moment, and the other is in a more global way. So if you're really thinking about, and I don't want to limit it to the brownies. Certainly, if there's that moment that you're having it, go enjoy it and enjoy every bite. But if you're in the habit of going for the quick fix kind of pleasure, to stop and think, what if I really think about what's really important to me? And that's my health. It's my future. It's the avoidance of disease.
Yeah.
That's what will give me lasting pleasure, as opposed to this picking at junk food or whatever just for the moment's satisfaction.
Oh, that makes me think about the whole society, right? We want everything fast, quick.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the point of this discussion today, really, is how do we keep ourselves healthy? Because that's really ultimately going to give us the opportunity for joy, and the opportunity to do the things we want to do, by staying healthy. So I'd be really interested, Peg, again, just to hear your whole take on, how we can maneuver and navigate through this terribly stressful coronavirus, reality, I guess, that we're living right now. So I just like to hear you kind of reiterate some of the things that you've said that would be helpful for us to build and sustain our immune system.
Sure. Well, of course, we all need to abide by the guidelines that were being given by the CDC for the immediate issue. But for day to day, the real key pieces are really 5. There's nutrition, there's movement, there's rest, there's stress management, and there's connection or joy, whatever word you want to attach to it. The nutrition we've talked about already. We've touched upon exercise and sleep. Stress is really huge, and if you can find a way for you to manage your stress, we're all different. So some people need to be very active. Others need to kind of pull back and regroup. Others need meditation. I think guided meditations are really helpful for people with busy minds because they don't have to sit in silence in order to relax.
I agree.
Getting out in nature, really important. And then the connection part, however we connect, is really important. It's one of the, we talk about this coronavirus being a pandemic. Loneliness is becoming epidemic in our society. And there are many reasons for it, but a really tragic story I read was a study that was done in London a couple of years ago where fully 100,000 elders were identified as not having had a meaningful conversation with another human being in the previous 30 days.
Oh,
wow.
That's heartbreaking. And
that's heartbreaking, yeah.
Yeah. And what epidemiologists are finding is loneliness is a serious health hazard. It impacts your health in very serious ways. So in this time where we may need to isolate ourselves and quarantine ourselves, make sure you have connections with loved ones, with positive, uplifting things. Get yourself some, I guess Netflix stock is about the only one that's rising now, but get some comedies to listen to and enjoy, laugh, connect. It's really important for your health.
Go to a Twitter chat. Oh my God, can I stand on a soapbox, Lucille? I mean, I know Lucille can vouch for this, and I know the people in watching. I find I've been working from home since 2013. A lot of people tell me, oh, I could never work it from home. It just is too isolating. I love working from home. And in my time working from home, I met the most awesome Lucille Fisher.
Yeah.
She calls me when she's stressed. I call her when I'm stressed. We're doing this live stream. I feel very connected to you. I'm in California. You guys are in the Boston area.
Yeah.
And Twitter chats do this. Oh my God, I feel so connected to people who I chat with on Twitter that I could, when I meet them in real life, I'm going to hug those people.
After this is over.
After all of this is over.
Elbow bump them or whatever. But it is true. So you have to find a way to connect. Whether it's like we love Twitter. We have friends on Twitter, whether it's a phone call, a Zoom meeting, if you have that capability, FaceTime, that connection. Yeah, it's so important.
The visual is really important, isn't it? I know there's a lot of texting that happens, but it's not the same. It's not the same as seeing the body language, the smile, the tone of voice. There's a lot in a visual connection.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I actually agree with that. I mean, Twitter, you're not seeing people, but it's a long-term relationship that you develop, and then you take it from tweeting to calling them, or having a meeting with them, or Zoom meeting with them. You take the next step, or meeting them in person. And that's how really great friendships have been forged.
Right. And there's a gal who just said, I'm buying your book, Peg Doyle.
Right.
And this person I met on Twitter. So
there you go. And she's in California, right?
California, yeah.
Yeah.
And she would have never known any of this if we hadn't done all this.
Yeah.
So
it's so I think, again, we have to get our rest, right? We need to try to contain our stress levels, whether that means turning off the TV or dancing in our living room,
Right.
Yes.
whatever we can do.
We party. You know, my kids have a Wii, and they have a little disc that does Wii Party, and you try and dance the same steps as I can't do it at all, but I find it hysterical because I'm just such a dork. And they totally have the moves down, and they love to beat me. And we have so much fun
Yeah.
dancing in our living room.
Yeah. And that's what people have to seek right now.
Yeah.
I think that, get out. You don't have to be near, what do they say? Is it a meter? Is that the healthy distance that they're recommending?
Nita?
6 feet. Last time I heard was 6
6 feet. Okay, 6 feet. Hey, we can all be walking around outside in nature. We can certainly be in our backyard and all that. And we don't need to be, in close quarters and still be enjoying the beautiful benefits of nature.
That's right.
For sure. Yes.
Anyway,
This will pass. This is a very strange moment in time, but it will pass. And in time, we won't even remember it. I think about the H1N1 about 3 years ago, how everybody was so worried about that. This has a much larger specter for all of us than H1N1, but things happen in life, and this is a big one, but it will pass.
It will pass. Absolutely. It will pass, and we will survive. Most of us will almost all of us will survive. I mean, the percentage is extremely low, and when it's my time, it's my time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, we have fun, right?
Yeah,
right. Have fun.
Okay.
You gotta have fun.
Wrap it up and have fun. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So Peg, this has been amazing.
Yes.
You are great, and I really recommend people go to your website, and because you have so much information there. And I'm putting up the website again if I can find it. I will find it right there. Yeah, and they can get your newsletter, right?
Yes, there'll be a little
there you go.
that will pop up to sign up for the newsletter. So by all means, the more the merrier. And as I said earlier, I feel like I learn as much from the people I work with as I hope they do from me, because that exchange of life experience is really so valuable to me.
Yeah.
Right.
And your book, people can get on Amazon.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And your meditations.
Mm-hmm. They're available on Amazon too, but they are, you can go to my website to the products page and click there, and it'll connect you with Amazon and another group called Health Journeys. They also provide copies of it.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So we also want to remind people on our end to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we will have more guests coming up.
Our next show will be March 26th, 2 weeks from today.
Right. And so do that. And
I'm going to plug voting, because we always want to end our show. One of the reasons why we're doing this is because we felt like one person can't do everything, but everybody can do something. Peg is doing this, trying to help people to get closer to wellness. And we're doing this to just get the word out that where we are in society right now is because of our leaders, and we need to vote.
Yes.
If you have not signed up to vote, please sign up to vote. This is your civic duty, and I don't want to get all guilty and shamey, but really, at least think about it. I mean, I voted. I know Lucille voted, and I'm sure
Voted.
voted.
Oh, good. Of course.
Yeah. And so that's my thing.
But as people and individuals, we need to take the power back. We need to take the power back for our health, and we need to take the power back in making decisions. So we're trying to provide information to help people make
informed decisions. Absolutely.
So anyway, and you've been a big part of that today, Peg.
Thank you so much. It's been great.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everyone who has watched us live, and quite a few people have watched us, by the way, today. Yeah. And we thank them very much. And we want to thank everybody who, if you feel that this has been helpful, please share it with your friends. You can do that. And for anybody who watches the replay, please ask your questions in the comment section, and we will answer. We will see that we get an answer for you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So go out, be positive, have fun, and thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Be well, everybody.
take care.
Bye.
Bye.